What is up, everybody? Rex Extreme Werewolf, and I know it's been a long time since I did this type of video, but this is episode 4 of Lego Night of Zoopocalypse Zombie Defense. So, let's see here. We left off with the level ending where Gracie, Dan, and Poot have actually, we haven't even gone to the free roam part of it yet. Like it will leave Gracie a little bit sad and stuff. Like there might actually be another character variant for Gracie, or maybe just a skin that would have different abilities or something. But afterwards, let's see. It then continues on to the next story because, of course, you don't free roam. You don't play as Xavier, Frida, Ash, or Felix yet. Or Frida, Felix, or Ash yet. Because, well, when it comes to them, they basically left Gracie and Dan to defend themselves against the giant mutated gorilla. So, how would this play out? Zombie Defense is the fourth level of this game, where you actually start off playing as the four animal cowards as they enter a gift shop. And as soon as they enter, they have to try to look around, see what they can use to keep themselves occupied until this possible thing blows over. However, it sort of does not stay on that specific. It's basically a cutscene, if you will, and well, after you do all that stuff, then you unlock a new cutscene after you find the popcorn. But then Felix, being his prideful bastard self, he, that little evil monkey, that fat nosed monkey of a proboscis monkey, well, him alone, I don't mean no disrespect to any other monkeys, but he literally wanted to agitate them further, which of course Ash was not going to handle it after Felix said that monkeys are still ill a primate and primates have more intelligence. That may be, but that works mostly for apes like orangutans, who are the wise, big, the big orange wise apes are of course are the orangutans and gorillas and chimpanzees, not monkeys, apes. So you're a little bit far behind on that, Felix. I mean, even humans have tailbones, but that's like years later, like billions of years or something, whatever. Then, well, actually, maybe million years, but who knows? So, when it comes to, hmm, when it comes to such as this level, after that cutscene, you go to a second stage, which actually comes after the another cutscene where Dan is still taking charge with Poot and Gracie behind. Of course, this takes place after the when even in the free roam, and of course Gracie has crying abilities during the free roam, but that's like a little thing. I mean, it's a chaotic character sheet. It won't really matter how many there are. Hold on. Hang on, everybody. Hang on. Yeah, there. So, when it comes to the second stage, of course, the cutscene being with Dan and scouting as the mountain lion he is, not lightning lion he is. Poot comes in, makes a playful joke, and then so does Gracie, who, of course, was slowly walking into view from the fog. hinting that there's nothing she could do because she didn't know what she could do. And Dan was all well was all a little frustrated. I mean, then again, he's trying to get that out of that prison like area that is called a zoo, and also doesn't want to get bitten. So let's continue on. So with that, quick little pause in the video, everybody. A few days ago, or maybe a weeks ago, I've created a little card for Gracie. Well, I had one made for her, but then I had a second one, had to draw in pencil, then pen it, and then colored it. Let me just say it was difficult with the teeth, especially when it reached the left side of her mouth. But anywho, let's see. For her character card, if she was a Skylander, the special tactics like that a Swap Force can do, she can break glass with her healing howl. She can cut. Well, specific vines will have to be tougher, so she'll switch from claws to fangs. She can also use her claws to climb. She's so smart that her fourth special tactic, not in alphabetical order, it starts with an S for solve puzzles. Then her fifth is dig, because she's a wolf, a canine. And of course, because she's a wolf who can run 20 miles per hour, she can race. But because she's also a canine, I added a new thing for them. For canine related Skylanders alone, they can track, meaning they can track items that they could possibly use, and it can also sometimes lead up to digging. And this is another spot she can do: swim. I mean, I know we never saw her swim in the show, but I mean, rubber balls in a ball pen does not count. So we're still going to give it to the fact that she can still sort of swim. And who this is what she looks like. See? How did I do? The eyes, the actually the most hardest part would be the mane. If you can see why. I'm probably gonna copy off of that. Did my best. Oh, if you can't see, I also did the little scruffle at the top of her mane that is right next to her cheek. Her little weird spiky eyelashes, her nose, her little areas that should be where the whiskers are, and yeah, even her blue lips. Sometimes you gotta use the light to see. Anywho, let's, and that's all. Oh wait, hold on. I also made two howling howls. This is actually the second one because it's going to be the bear one, but this is the first one. So, press B to howl and heal yourself and your allies. Like Countdown, the B will start off as your first ability. Heals 4% of health with each howl, but it sucks. Even as a. I mean, technically should have made it a much more. Technically should have made it more pointed with the nose, but yeah, I'm going to stick with making a new one, but that's going to be through pencil and stuff. And now that's all for the side part video. We're back, everybody. Now we continue on with a story. With Dan, of course, still being a little frustrated at Gracie, the cutscene then goes to transitions to her as she mentions that a wolf is nothing without her pack. Poot being oblivious that she's a wolf, and then Dan stating that he's sort of kept his promise, even if her pack was turned into zombies, and that it was time to hand over the keys so he can be on his way. but despite his sarcastic form of being kind, Gracie took it as a form of hate, of stubbornness and dislike and rudeness, and called him a snake. Then he, which of course led to Poot being oblivious as she calls him a snake, stating that she couldn't talk to either a wolf, that she's not supposed to talk to a wolf or a snake. And then, of course, he threatens her and tells her to state that she should. Oh, hold on. So with Gracie and so with Dan, he basically told her to hand over the key while squinting his eyes at her, in that he was tired of her crap. And then Gracie, of course, being the teenager she is, says, "Make me," like standing her ground. So then we head back to which actually leads up to what transitions to another part of the cutscene involved with Gracie, well, actually with the group still fighting, apparently. All four of them, of course, because they get both Frida, and then Frida got caught into the fight between Ash and Felix after Felix basically disrespected Ash and the rest of them. Well, no, he just basically disrespected Ash in general, and Ash had a valid crash out, and I will vouch for him. But then came. Sorry about that. But when Frida got caught in the fight, because she's actually not as chill as most. She's actually been made out as a feisty capybara rather than a chill capybara in real life. Fought the two creatures as well, even though Ash probably didn't mean to get her in. And then Xavier, feeling as if it was like part of a movie, what shouts, "Al attack!" A French word for attack, I guess, and joined in the fight. And then after the whole Gracie and Dan thing conversation, and then back to them, they realized that the lights in the entire zoo turned on because of their fighting, leaving Gracie and Dan to no longer be angry at each other, as they found as soon as the lights turned on, they were surrounded by zombies or Gumbies. Yes, Gumbies. So, how this level mostly plays out? Let's just say it's like the split screen based, where you have to hold Y. If it was Lego Hobbit, just like the other day, where you have to hold Y and pick out a character from the wheel, the character selection wheel, not the character sheet, but the wheel itself in terms of a story. Like probably Gracie in front up above and Dan to our right. Poot would not be playable, and that just leaves Xavier, Ash. Well, in terms of the character wheel, only Xavier and Ash will be part of the wheel, because I don't want to put Felix in that wheel. But I know I hate him, but he has to be part of something, but that'll probably be a different thing. Probably a different level or so. Something. Which I already now thought of a new idea for a level that would involve him. So, when it comes to it, the second stage is where the. Actually, you may want to. I mean, you could start off with Gracie and Dan first, but I suggest you start off with the animals who turned on the lights on. So that's how I would put the if I was how I would put the how this level would start if I was in charge of this game. So you basically have to smash a few things and try to probably find batteries to repair the machine that they short circuited apparently, or find the plug that fits them. Yeah, the plug would be a better thing. Pick it up and then drag it to the one. But if not any of those two work, then the third one appears, and then well, or you could just randomly pick up a certain one using their abilities. Of course, Felix is a monkey. Monkeys throw things, but also climb. And Felix is smart. Well, not as smart. So no, I'm not putting solve puzzles for him since he doesn't know how to solve a darn Zuki port. Or know how to unlock a iron bar latch because he used his teeth to try to open it and it didn't really work, and it took darn Xavier to figure out. So Xavier has the solve puzzles part and the small hole access. Well, he can also climb too. He's a lemur. Frida is a swimmer. I won't exactly give her strength, but she can also fit through small holes. Ash does not really necessarily possess the strength factor, despite being the largest bird ever. But that doesn't mean he could possibly learn to fly in the future. But he can run fast. I mean, he's an ostrich. And when it comes to hmm so yeah, most you just use their abilities to find the three different plugs at random times, but only one of them will work. You can't just be lucky enough and then just copy. You gotta like it's actually random. Any of the three plugs would work. It's just depending on which you start off first and second, and then whichever plug lands third. Then after that, they are off for the most part as you then switch to Gracie and Dan, who must use who must use well, let's just say that they mostly have to use well, actually let's say an action scene like a quick time event, of course. Pressing I mean, of course, Dan starts off as the one where who gets to the point. He's the only known fighter, of course, and they do their best to survive. So of course it's up to. So it's actually a short, quick time event. Considering Gracie doesn't really show much fighting, but if you press B with Dan, you manage to grab a macaque, a zombie, a Gumbie macaque, or a macaque Gumbie before it bites Gracie. Press B rapidly to continuously swing the macaque like some sort of flail and hit all the other creatures, and then as soon as that quick time's over, like you probably have to press it over 20 times with the B just to hit like probably three animals or so, and then just release or press X and just throw the macaque along with them. Then it goes back to them, where back to the four animal group, as we leave the three animal group and the four animal group, where of course Felix sort of grabs popcorn and negates the fact that they are gonna possibly get turned into zombies. He then saw that the wolf, as that he saw, as he put it, the wolf has the zoo key. And of course, Ash tells him to barricade, and Felix says that he wouldn't take orders from a bird, from it, such, from a bird, and then a zombie came out, and of course, Ash and Felix, the ones who pretty much started the fight that started the lighting problem, will be that way. So as soon as that's over, you actually this is pretty much a long level for number 4, because the first stage they have to find out what to do with the with scavenging around the gift shop. The second stage is where it ties to two different sub level parts where you're either having to switch between Felix. Well, actually, you could also. Oh, actually, you could also just fight 20 Gumbies as either Gracie or Dan before heading to back to Fred and. Oh, no, not Fred. To Xavier's group and find the plugs. Then come back for the quick time event. And then it leads up to the other part. Okay, a lot of sub stages of this, sub levels of this big level, and then the next sub level that actually ends off with this. Well, actually, let's see. It will Fred, Felix, and Ash must put their differences aside, and must work to getting the to getting most of the barricades in order. But of course, it must be Felix, sadly, that has to be finished. Finish the level, but once possibly, yeah, once possibly the level is done, you go back to it free play mode. You can choose any animal, as long as it's a monkey, or just Felix, sadly. Or you can just do any animal to just finish the episode. Well, however, just finish the sub level because it goes straight back to Gracie and Dan, who have to run and hide, who have to continuously run away from the zombies with Poot on Gracie's back and Dan leading the charge. Of course, you're going to have to try to find ways to dodge, so I would say because the camera would focus on like sort of third person, and to us it's Dan zooming to the right, drifting to the right, but he's actually drifting to the left to his, and then he goes to the right. So you press the left thumbstick left because it's like you're focusing and run away. Then you go. Then the quick time event helps with Gracie after you press A at the right moment, or press A whenever it shows up at any second to climb the mutated giraffe. And for Dan, he's the same way. And then, well, actually, yeah, we'll probably finish this level right here and now because it's a little too much. We'll just get to the next episode. I promise you, in episode 5, or actually, I think we'll just do a part 2 because this level is still going. So, yeah, we'll do a part 2. I promise you we'll be back. So, any No, no, nope. We can't do it. We gotta continue on. So after that, you think your moment is good enough, but then you soon realize that there's a mutated gorilla munching on a billboard sign. Then it gets stuck to the gondola cart, and it's up to Gracie and Dan, who have to perform a quick time event again to try. Oh, actually, the quick time event doesn't even stop there from with the running. I mean, which of course also involves a little cutscene with a little language that Gracie starts running and then in a burst of speed by pressing X or just pressing left thumbstick up. And of course, which leads to Dan saying, "Oh, you can't be serious." Then it will lead up to Fred, the mutated gorilla known as Fred. And of course, that leads to a boss battle, actually. Minion battle is different compared to boss battles. I mean, you're mostly fighting macaques, alpacas, antelopes, and of course, some tigers and leopards are a little bit more, or tigers in general, since we don't necessarily see any leopards. And they are pretty much tough minions, considering none of them are considered boss level ones. So you're in the gondola car playing as either both Gracie and Dan. Well, a quick time event, sadly. It's a quick time boss battle, of course. Well, actually, a quick time boss battle than a quick event. You have to constantly dodge or try to hold your ground, like you're trying to. If you're tilting to this side, move left as hard as you can, or even you can use the jump ability if you can too. But if it's tilting this, jump to the right or hold the right thumbstick steady until you can do so. But Fred will also probably try to swipe at you, so that's when you also have to jump too. I mean, technically, it is guaranteed that because he's a fast one, he can still sort of hit slow, but it gives you it's like a slow time thing that'll tell you when, without even having to seeing it as a quick time event. You have to know when to jump, and as soon as you jump, you gotta beat. Then his hand is stuck a little, like leading up to his elbow. Then you start either attacking the elbow or something. But as soon as it starts to shake, you better run back, otherwise you will lose health. Because there has to be something like that. And it's going to be the same way with the right arm. And as soon as that's over and stuff, like, you have to actually, yeah, with Gracie mostly. Gracie's the one who deals more damage. I mean, Dan could do it too, but let's not forget that in the movie it's Gracie who manages to knock the gorilla out. So when you use her, you have to. Well, you could use any of them, of course, but if you want to go strictly to the story, I suggest you stick with Gracie. So you're scratching the elbow, pressing X repeatedly on the left elbow, or then finally the right elbow, and then whichever elbow you sort of get a little. Oh yeah, it still tilts even when when zombie Fred's or Gumbie Fred's arm is stuck. So if you try to jump only for it to get to where he's shaking and then soon coming out for a giant backhand, you still have to jump, make a double jump of it. I mean, no idea why I spoke like that, but you still have to make a double jump about that. So, depending on which arm you landed on, the third heart, you actually had to finish this level with Grace. See, this is actually the part where you finish the level. Gracie Well, yeah. No, actually, it's still going on. So after Gracie, you gotta hold, you gotta go up and get ready to press X, which will lead to a cutscene, or just a little voice line where she says, "This is from Grandma Abigail," and then she turns around and performs a massive donkey kick with her hind paws, and decapitates the gorilla zombie, leading to a cutscene. As she just didn't know that it was that even if it was decapitated, it was still living and was also like, oops, because she didn't intend to knock his head off. Then they have to climb up. Then they also have to try to. Well, quick time event wise, you gotta try to use the A and rapidly press B to hold on to the railing. But of course, Gracie's tail gets caught by a malformed zombie gorilla, as his feet were now the arms and his arms were now the feet. And of course, it's up to Dan to finish it off by the level off by. I mean, he's a little bit far away, so move the thumbstick up. Jump. And then press down to aim. Then, or actually, yeah. And then press B to grab it. Then soon they're all falling down, and then somehow at the end of the level they're all laughing, all three of them, while Fred lands on the ground or lands into a giraffe, as the giraffe also gets becomes decapitated with all its body parts. And that's how that level ends. Yes. Thankfully. And now, that leads to the character unlocks. Xavier, Frida, Ash, and the begrudgingly Phoenix. Felix, not Phoenix. Not with an F or a PH. Felix. But even if we did unlock Felix, that's technically these characters. That doesn't mean that they would be involved with such, because it'll actually lead to a new level. But we'll get to that level another time. This is Zombie Defense, and I'm Rex the Extreme Werewolf, and I hope to see you all next time. Goodbye.